Speedgig, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the legendary Gerry Brown from Los Angeles on his way to Berlin City at the beautiful drum trainer. Today we will have a clinic with you and we want to make a short interview. So it's so nice to have you, Gerry.
Well, nice to be here, and also this is his anniversary. So happy anniversary, my brother.
Thank you so much.
It's always great to see you, but a happy anniversary with the school and the success, man.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm here on the anniversary day.
Yeah, so you are our star guest today, so we want to talk about your career and have some questions. So you were born and raised in the city of Philadelphia in the USA. So a lot of legendary musicians come from Philadelphia.
Yes.
Whom did you grow up with? Who were your influences, your heroes, your mentors?
Well, my oldest friend from Philadelphia is the great bassist, world-renowned Stanley Clarke.
Oh yeah.
I've known Stanley since we were little Stanley and little Gerry, like 12 years old. So, and then also from Philadelphia, the great pianist McCoy Tyner, from Philadelphia. There have been many jazz legends that have at one time spent many years in Philadelphia. John Coltrane, Ella Fitzgerald. You have people, great musicians now, like Questlove.
Right, he's
from Philadelphia also. So
Jamaldine Tacuma.
And Jamaldine Tacuma, the singer of Music Soul Child.
Right. So
there's this long history, Philadelphia music scene, Gamble and Huff, the sound of Philadelphia. Right. So, yes.
So how did you grow up? Did you play music in bands in school, or did you have a lot of music education? Did you study music?
I studied music. My first teacher was like, ironically, it was a woman, Elaine Watts. She's probably about 85 years old now, but she was my first teacher. And then for about 6 years, and she showed me the rudiments and started showing me on mallets. And I went to another school, a settlement music school, and that was where I met this one teacher, Alan Abel, who he played in the Philadelphia Orchestra. So I got the whole classical background, and at the school, which was great, they would often get tickets to see the Philadelphia Orchestra. So I saw them in Eugene, Normandy. So that was a great experience. And then around 12 years old, in these programs of music in Philadelphia, that's where I met Stanley. And we found out that we were listening a lot to the jazz albums, and we understood that the great bands who we were listening to, they always had great rhythm sections. It's like, okay, you had John Coltrane, but he had Elvin Jones and Reggie Workman. So it's like we were trying to emulate, right? And then, with Miles Davis, with Tony Williams and Ron Carter, trying to emulate. Looking at Jimi Hendrix, Mitch Mitchell, it's like every great band, they always had this bass and drums thing. Right. And it's like, well, that's the foundation of the house. Right. If that's great, the possibilities are endless.
So talking about Jimi Hendrix, just my question, which rhythm section did you like more? The American with Buddy Miles or the one with Mitch Mitchell?
That's a hard one to answer. I mean, Mitch Mitchell, it was great music, but that band, the Gypsies, anyway.
Okay. Okay, so you grew up, you studied in Philadelphia, and then you did something maybe not too many young musicians do from America. You went to Europe. A lot of other guys unfortunately had to go to Vietnam, but you went to Europe to start your career in Holland, I think.
Yes, it was with a Dutch flautist, Chris Henze. And how that happened was this bass player, John Lee. We were all in. John, myself, Stanley Clarke, Alphonso Johnson.
All right.
All these great bass players. I'm surrounded. So this one time, John and I, we went to see Herbie Hancock play. Start this conversation, And Herbie knew John. He says, man, you know, I know a flute player in Holland. I'll give you his number and mailing address. You can get in contact with him. So we got in contact with Chris Henze. He says, hey, rhythm section, hey, send over a tape. So John sent over a tape, and I played on it, and he responded. He says, yeah, John, come over to Holland. Oh, by the way, invite the drummer too. So
how old were you at that time?
I was like 19, 20 years old.
All right.
So I'm looking, I'm telling my age. I mean, the Vietnam War was, it was really going on. And the whole thing with the American government, that they had the system of a lottery, and according to your birth date, whatever number. So I was like in the middle. So I didn't go, but I knew others that did. So so with that in mind, and this whole thing with Chris Henze, I said, I told my mom and dad, I know I'm in college, but I'm playing R&B, I'm playing jazz. I don't see anything for me in the classical side, so I have an opportunity to go to Holland. And man, it's like my mom is like, big tears, oh, my baby's going. Mom, I gotta go. And that was like the best experience of coming to Europe, playing music, getting a global view. Here I was, this little, this kid growing up in Philadelphia, middle class neighborhood, but now you're in Holland, and then you're coming to Europe, and it's like, oh, this is how the rest of the world lives. So it really, it opened my head, my heart. So I have, it was the best experience of coming to Europe.
That's great. And from Holland, of course, Holland is like very near to Germany. Germany
Yes.
was always the biggest music market in Europe. So you
Yes.
made it to Germany. I know you played with a lot of German artists. You played with Jasper van Toff from Holland.
Yes.
But then you played with Helmut Hattler, with Kran. You
Yes.
played with the NDR big band.
Yes.
You got very famous when I was a teenager with the super drumming series on the German TV. So everyone knew you. You were the man.
Yeah, with Pete York and God bless Louis Belson.
Right.
Simon Phillips was on there. So Wolfgang Schmidt was playing bass.
Cozy Powell.
Cozy Powell, God bless Cozy. Brian Auger was on it. Oh, it was super.
So then you moved from Holland to Germany, I guess, for a while.
Yes. And I lived here in Berlin. I'm trying to remember the name of the section of town. It's slipping my mind right now, but I lived here in Berlin for some months. Then I moved to Hamburg, and then this whole thing with the NDR really started happening, and with Helmut Hattler and Kran.
Right.
So, and Peter Weyer and Anson Kluge.
Right.
And I was doing some teaching at the Hochschule in Hamburg.
That's interesting because I studied in the 1990 at this Popmusik course with Udo Dahm, but he replaced you, I guess, after you went back to the States.
And
you started this pop course thing.
Yes, and Udo, he's great.
He's now a professor in Mannheim.
He's a professor, and he's got some wonderful students.
Oh yeah.
Yes, he really does.
He's the man.
He's the man. So,
but that was like your career here in Europe. But then obviously you went back and to the States and made it even bigger.
Well, what happened was I went back in the summer of 1983, and I had intended to come back to Germany. And the day that I got home, I go to my mom and dad's house, and my mom says to me, hey honey, you got a phone call from this gentleman, Wilbert Terrell. Wilbert Terrell was the tour manager with the group, the Brothers Johnson. So she says, Wilbert just happened to call a few hours ago. He wants you to call him as soon as you get in. Okay. I still have Wilbert's number. Wilbert, how are you? Hey, listen, Lionel Richie is starting to go solo. He's going to have, he's going to put a band together. He's going to have some auditions. Would you be interested? I said, sure, I'd be interested. But then he says the magic phrase, he says, okay, well, you're in Philadelphia. I said, yes. He says, I'll get you a one-way ticket to Los Angeles. Not a return, a one-way. I said, okay. I left the next morning, a couple auditions later, and then about 10 days later, I was on the gig. Then everything changed, of course. So, and that's why I didn't get, if anybody's wondering, why didn't Gerry come back? That's why I didn't come back.
And for how long was that with
between 80, a little more than 3 years, until 86. And then God bless him, Ricky Lawson, he took my place.
All right.
So after my time in line, I was doing, sessions and things like that. And then in 1988, I got with George Benson.
Right.
And I worked with George Benson from 1988 to end of 91. Then Stevie Wonder came in.
That's the greatest gig in the world, isn't it?
That's like the Mozart of pop music.
Yeah.
So then I was with Stevie from 92 until 2004. And then in the year 2000, all of a sudden Diana Ross came in there. So for about 4 years, I was doing Diana and Stevie.
Right.
And then there came a little problem where I couldn't get with Stevie, so Stevie said, I have to make a change. So, but I'm still with Diana to this day.
That's great. I mean, the greatest artist in funk music. I'm a big fan of the album A Natural Wonder.
Yes, yeah, Natural Wonder.
Natural
yes.
Wonder. That was recorded in Israel, or it was
No,
recorded in
Osaka.
Because I had a copy where it said it was recorded in Tel Aviv, so I was always very confused about it. But it was Japan when I was Googling.
Japan,
right.
yes, Osaka, yes.
That's a great album. The percussionist, what was the name of it?
Manyongo Jackson.
Right.
Yes, he's great.
Awesome album. So, ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite R&B live albums featuring Gerry Brown on drums. You have to get it. It's not so easy to get it as a copy. You could download it, but it's not so easy to get it as a copy. So, you you were the big tour drummer for almost 2 decades for a lot of artists. So from your point of view, what do you think, how did the music business change from the beginning of the 70s when you started out until today? What is the challenge today?
I think what happened was shortly, it's okay. Shortly, I guess into the end of the 90s and the beginning of 2000, there seemed to be a shift in that. In the record companies, those who were signing the artists, they seem to have more artistic ideas. And all of a sudden, those artistic ideas went to like people who are really counting the numbers. Like the person who does your taxes.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, these people took over, and it's like, well, we're not selling so many copies right now, and we're going to have to make changes. Whereas before, there were more artistic people. I mean, back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, without internet, people were putting out 1-2 albums a year, and somehow everybody knew it. You knew that there's going to be a new Sly Stone album. You're going to have to get that album because some people are going to buy that album. There are going to be people who are going to come to dances or whatever. You're going to have to know how to play these songs. Same thing with James Brown. It's like when I was a teenager, if you didn't know the James Brown songs, you weren't playing the dances.
Right.
And one of the people who was playing these dances, like when I was 15, 16 years old, he was a little bit older, but Grover Washington. He was playing these dances. Me, you know, Stanley, myself, but Grover was on there. And Grover, I mean, he had a big sound. But anyway, you had to know these songs. And there was no internet there.
Right.
It was all, you know, all albums constantly coming out. So now it seems like that has shrunk. Kind of like what happened with, before there used to be this thing, vinyl records. Yeah. But now it's like, we talked about this last night.
Shrunk to
You know, everything is shrunk, you know, and it's just not the same.
But where things are changing, so what you recommend to young players if they want to start out now? So we were talking about like internet lessons or having a live teacher. What would you recommend?
Well, you can do the internet, you know, if you want to do an online teacher, but I would say, like, really find out with that online teacher if they have experience of playing different types of music, like you have. You've been out there. You know what it's like. You know those situations where, you know, it's like, it can be somewhat controlled, but then all of a sudden something happens and you have to make some decisions. So you've made these decisions. Now you can take those examples to all of your students because you have that experience. There's, you know, I see some teachers online, I'm not putting anyone down, but I just want to say, the teacher who has had the experience of being on the road and in different situations, that's the person will, more than 95% of the time, they know how to handle situations so that if the student says, well, asks a question, well, what happens if this happens? Or, well, you know, well, you can say, well, from my experience, I had a situation like so, and this is what happened, and this is what I did. And that's how I managed the situation, and everything was fine. But someone who's, you know, online, yeah, they may, you know, speed and everything like that. Well, you know, eventually speed is going to go. You know, you will get slower. And if you don't have that experience, and then I think experience says everything. Okay. Also, and we talked about this last night a little bit about, you know, there's a person who's doing like, you know, the speed things, you know, that's fine. But when you really think about it, that person who's able to play that groove, simple. And you may say, why is this person working? Well, because they're playing that groove and they have people skills. They get along with people. It's, you think the music industry, and for what we do as drummers, it's small. And people hear things. People want to know, how is it working with this person? Oh, fine, they're on time, they play the groove, they don't embarrass themselves, they don't embarrass me. That's the person that you want to have. Right? They're always on time. Oh, there you go. Hey, when you can have those things, roof over the head. Right? Without those things, you may be homeless.
That was a great last word. So thank you so much, Gerry, for being with us. And I'm looking so forward to the clinic tonight. And thanks a lot.
My brother. Always great to see you, man.
Great to see you.
This is a great man.
Speedgig.
Thank you.